Welcome to the Comeback Season podcast, where we bridge the gap between where you are and where you're meant to be. We created this platform to be a place where you can land during your hardest seasons of life and feel fully supported as you rebuild. This show is rooted in the belief that a true comeback requires a foundation of a healthy mind, a healthy body, and a regulated nervous system. I'm your host, Christi Kelsey, a certified transformational macro coach who helps women achieve fat loss through the use of nutrition, strength training, and mindset tools so they can feel confident in their bodies again. Joining me today is Ly Smith, founder of UpCycle Coaching and creator of the G3 Collective. Ly helps high achieving women reframe the false narratives of their inner critic into more authentic and empowering self talk. She's also here to share her Reactor to Creator framework, which helps women move out of fear, pressure, and self doubt and into a more intentional way of leading themselves. Ly, I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you
To get
so
us
much, Christy.
started, oh, yeah. To get us started, I know that there's more to your story than what I just said. If there's anything else you'd like to tell us about you, this is a good time to do that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's definitely going to come through sharing a story of my own comeback season,
Mhm.
and it started in like where I was fulfilling this beautiful chapter of being a stay-at-home mom, and I came into a blended family when I got married. And then it took a little bit of time for my daughter to come into the world, but so excited that she's here. And then my husband was working a lot and out of town. So I felt like, okay, I've got this blended family. I'm stay-at-home mom, but I'm also kind of playing this single mom role because my husband was gone so much. And while I was fulfilling this dream, if you will, of a conviction that was placed in my heart at the young age of 14, it was great until it wasn't.
Mm.
And the moment that it wasn't was about 15 years later. And I was on a holiday with my family. We were all experiencing Hawaii for the first time, but this was no ordinary vacation. We are talking 23 days across four islands, the four major islands.
Wow.
So it was something truly spectacular. And 23 days meant 22 sunsets. And there
Mm.
was this one particular sunset where I was standing on the lava shore with my family. My husband had the camera up to his face, like, and trying to capture the golden hour light. And so the lens was extending from his face like the nose of Pinocchio. And my young teenage daughter was by my side, and we were having a mother-daughter moment. And off to the other side was my stepson, who was grown and out of the house at the time, but he was there with us and his then girlfriend. And there's this beautiful picture all around us because we are standing in the moment of paradise here. And I remember thinking, this is so beautiful. I'm thinking, I'm here with the people that I love the most. I'm thinking, who does this? 23 days. I'm
Mm.
thinking, wow, I cannot believe after all of these years, I finally made it to Hawaii. And I kept thinking all these different thoughts. And then I caught myself in the thinking that I was not feeling the moment.
Mm.
And that made me think, who am I right now? And what is happening? What does this mean? There were no feelings of happiness, joy, satisfaction, none of that. There wasn't even the downsides. There was no disappointment or hurt or anything. There was just this numbness. And when I asked what is happening right now, I saw myself as a woman covered in just, and that's like dust with a J, where
Mhm.
I was thinking, I'm just a wife. I am just a stay-at-home mom. I am
Mm.
just a stepmom. I am just a daughter. I am just this shell of a woman who is so numb right now and thinking, who am I and what is happening? I am not okay with this.
Mhm.
And I realized with nothing coming forward, even when I asked myself, well, if I'm not happy right now, then what does make me happy?
Mhm.
And again, I came up empty-handed. Nothing was coming top of mind. I thought, okay, I'm really not okay with this.
Mhm.
And recognizing that we were at that time at the end of one year, a new year was coming around the corner. And I said, okay, I don't understand, but this needs to end right now. I know this is not who I am. So I'm drawing a line in the proverbial sand. And with the new year coming around the corner, I don't care how selfish it seems to anyone else. I am going to go on a quest to figure out who is Ly and
Mhm.
what makes her happy. And that became the beginning of my comeback season. And,
Mhm.
and also became that journey became the foundation of what I teach women today about reframing their imposter syndrome.
I love that. This is one of my favorite talks, and actually, or not talks, but topics. I actually incorporate this in my own coaching because I think that uh, almost, well, everybody has that inner critic, right? And everybody says things to themselves that maybe aren't very positive or uplifting, but becoming aware of that voice like you did, and then getting curious about it is a whole other step. And not very many people confront that inner critic.
Very true, very true. The research has shown that we have like 60 to 80,000 thoughts
Mhm.
every day. They pass through our mind very much like our breath passes through our body and our heart just beats on its own without us consciously thinking about it. And 85% of those thoughts are the same thoughts we had yesterday and the day before that and the day before that and the day before that. So they're running on this replay loop. And if we're not mindfully aware of what those thoughts are, we may be unconsciously doing negative loops, and then we wonder why am I not one of the lucky ones? Why is my life not going the way I had planned it? Why is this not happening for me? And we put those questions out there, and it really comes back to our thoughts, because our thoughts and our self-talk is an inner representation of who we are, and then life will mirror what we are processing internally. And it's that realization that made me come up with the Reactor Creator framework, so that women can understand visually and conceptually how that works, and then use it as a tool to reset themselves and maybe even begin their own comeback season at that point.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to us some more about the inner critic and, what are some familiar phrases that you see with the people that you work with?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of it is I'm not good enough.
Hmm.
And many times for us women, it that wasn't necessarily a thought we came up with on our own. A lot of times, and this is my own personal experience, it comes from our moms.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this expectation that's placed upon us. If we're smart, we're supposed to show up with smart behavior. If we're capable, well, then we should be living up to our potential every day. Don't, then we get told, "Well, what's the matter with you? Why aren't you doing this?" And it becomes an internal language of I'm not good enough. Or, if we get marks in school that aren't the full-on A plus or 100%. You're smarter than that. Why aren't you doing that? And again, it comes back to I'm not good enough. So that's the most popular phrase. And again, it can sit there in our unconscious or subconscious mind, and it plays out in us expressing our efforts,
Hmm.
and the results don't line up with what we expect to happen. And we wonder why. Why am I coming up short? Or we start something and maybe we get about a quarter or halfway through, and we wonder, why am I not able to push through and complete this enough? It's because that underlying identity is saying you're not good enough to complete it enough, or the results that you're expecting, you're believing that you're not worthy of that. You're not deserving of that. And so we first need to become self-aware of what are those loops replaying in our mind, and then let's replace it. We can't just say cancel that. I wish it was that simple. I think the world would be an entirely different place if that were the case. But what we need to do, what neuroscience has taught us, is that thanks to the neuroplasticity of our brain, that means our brain is not concrete, that once we have a thought, it doesn't just stay there. We do have the capability of changing that. And
Hmm.
again, this is where the Reactor Creator framework comes into play. We can take that negative thought that we know is playing on loop, reframe it with a replacement thought that will then empower us, or at least cancel that out, so that we can have that positive energy, because words matter and words have frequency with them. Our thoughts, our emotions, all of that has a frequency to it. And so our negative thoughts, they're going to be lower frequency. They're going to kind of weigh us down and give us that feeling of dread, right? Whereas our empowering words, they're going to boost us with energy. They're going to revive us again. It's that launching pad for a comeback season. And using that again and again, knowing what to say, it's going to create momentum. It's going to push us forward. It's going to lift us up. It's going to give us that place to shine. And when we shine, not only are we doing great things for ourselves, but we're giving other women around us that same permission to shine. And when they catch that light, it becomes just this endless positive ripple of impact. And that's why I'm on the mission that I'm on, to create
Yeah.
that impact.
Yeah, I love when I see women helping women because I feel like when I was younger, our generation kind of like you couldn't say anything nice about yourself. If
Right.
if somebody said, "Oh, I love that outfit on you. It's so cute." It was a common phrase to say, "Oh, this old thing," or "Oh, I look so fat," or something like say something negative about yourself to kind of um, not
Oh,
disagree, but not agree with the person that's paying you a compliment instead of saying, "Oh,
right.
thank you, I appreciate that," But I think
Yeah.
times have changed, and we see more and more women helping women, and I love that. Why do you
Definitely.
think so many women believe those negative voices in their heads so easily?
Well, that's a great question. I I think part of it is the way our brain functions, that it likes to take the path of least resistance.
Mm,
And it's just easier. It takes work to believe in yourself. It
mhm,
takes work to lean into the positivity unless you really diligently build that habit.
mhm,
And while I have done that for myself, I still have setbacks where it's just like, oh, that didn't work. Okay, now I'm feeling embarrassed, or I feel shame, or I feel guilt, or just the self-disappointment, or I come up short. I'm guilty of procrastination. I used to say, I'm like, oh, I was really good at putting the pro in procrastination instead of the pro in productivity, and taking those diligent habits. Yeah, the path of least resistance just makes it so easy to like, yeah, yeah. And it's like taking, it's like the way we come into the world, right? We come into the world as an infant. And maybe the initial label, if you will, is, oh, it's a boy, oh, it's a girl.
mhm.
And but essentially when we come in, we're this blank slate, right? And then we get the, oh, she's so beautiful. Oh, she's so smart. Oh, she's so capable. Oh, she's so energetic. Or oh, she's so shy. Then those labels start to come, but we come in with this blank slate. And so depending again what's poured in, that's where I wanted to go with it. There is a play of what's poured into us does play a part in how we show up. But that blank slate too is like looking at a blank piece of paper. It's all white, right? But then the moment you put one dot, no matter how small it is, if it's noticeable, what happens? We notice the dot, and we tend
Yeah.
to forget we have this whole blank slate that we're
Mm,
working with. And that's part of how our brain functions. I don't know if it plays into a part of that protection that we kind of take for granted, all the good things. And then it's like we pay attention to the one negative. Or
mhm,
when it comes to our looks, because us as girls and as adolescents and as women, we get attention so much on our looks. And so it becomes the, oh, there's a gray hair. Oh,
mhm,
there's a fine line. Oh, there's an age spot. Instead of looking at this entire beautiful picture of a human being that was beautifully and fearfully made, right? And that there's so much more than just a gray hair. It's like if we can
right.
remove the just parts
Mhm,
about ourselves
mhm,
and see the rest of the picture that is there, we would recognize that there is so much to love when it comes to self-love, that there is so much to appreciate, not only in ourselves, but in someone else. And what
mhm,
I love about what I teach, Christy, is when do many workshops, I'll ask the women, who is it that you admire? If you can think of three people that you admire, you just totally look up to. It could be your mom. It could be like Oprah Winfrey. It could be somebody else that you just really love, a favorite relative or a favorite friend. Gosh, I just love her so much. Why? And you think about the three things that you love about her. Number one, very rarely is it going to be about anything vanity wise,
mhm.
right? A
Right.
lot of it's going to be characteristics. And the truth in doing that exercise is you cannot see those things that you admire about those other women unless you own it yourself.
Mm,
So there is a truth that you are revealing about the women that you admire. You have that within you too.
mm,
Maybe you've buried it in distractions or noise or the things that you're doing. But when you take a moment to look at yourself, it's there. The truth is there.
mhm. That's great. So, talk to us about your reactor to creator framework.
My pleasure, because this is like my big mission, my one big mission of what I'm out in the world to do. And what I have here is a set of Scrabble letters, each individual letter of the word reactor. And the reactor is like who I was that day on the beach. Yes, I was living this amazing life as a stay-at-home mom. And here I was on this incredible vacation in Hawaii. And anybody from the outside would have thought I had it all put together, looking beautiful, the supportive husband, the beautiful family, all this time in paradise. I must have just had it all put together. And yet on that day, I was a reactor. I was reacting to my role, or at least what I perceived my role to be. I was reacting to the needs of my family, making my husband happy, putting a smile on my daughter's face, appeasing my son. I was reacting to the never-ending cycles of being a stay-at-home mom, the laundry, the meals, the car pulls, all of that, and still having somewhere inside of me the dream of what I want my life to be like. And I was reacting to my expectations, everybody else's demands and expectations, and reacting to the day to day. I was no longer present. Even though I was living this chapter that I so desired in my heart, I was no longer present to that place in my life. And I was instead reacting. And so I was busy putting out what I call fire after fire after fire. And I saw myself like the letter C in Reactor, where I was busy. I felt stressed. I was exhausted. I felt overwhelmed. And overall, I felt like I was stuck in the middle of all the things. And maybe you recognize yourself as a reactor, your to-do lists and the emails and the tasks at hand.
Mhm.
Again, what you think of yourself, what your family demands of you, what you think society expects of you. Where are you showing up reacting? Are you hearing yourself, I don't have time, I'm busy, or I can't do that right now, or I'm not good enough to do that right now? You might be showing up as a reactor. And what I invite you to do is like the letter C, instead of being stuck in the middle of all the things, where can you change your environment? Can you
Mhm.
change that with a deep breath? Can you change that with taking a step outside and taking a little walk, getting some fresh air? Or maybe it's a little mini retreat, or you can do a vacation, go for it, where you're just totally changing that environment. And it gives you the opportunity to see yourself, see you for who you really are, because you are a beautiful miracle. You are amazing and you are brilliant. And you have what I call the three G's. This is why I call it the G3 collective, that you have genius, you have gifts, and you have greatness within you. And it's that combination that makes you you and not someone else.
Mhm.
We all have that. And so when I help you see yourself for who you really are and you put yourself first, that's where the magic really happens because then everything else falls into place. And now instead of being stuck in the middle of all the things, you're putting yourself first and you become the creator of the best version of yourself in any given moment. When things aren't going your way, when things are, pulling you in all different directions, you can go, wait a minute, let me take a beat here. See myself. What is the best version of me to respond?
Mhm.
Or what is the best situation I can now make on the situation at hand? And you can create based on your priorities, what aligns with who you really are and what you really want out of life, out of what makes you happy and what makes you come alive, then you are creating the morning, the day, the week, the year, the life, the business on your terms. And we need more creators in the world. I typically like to use my favorite, one of my favorite quotes. It comes from Howard Thurman. And he says, do not ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and then go do that. Because what the world needs is more people who come alive. And that reactor to creator framework allowed me to come back and be the creator of my stay-at-home lifestyle that I so desired and I cherished it again instead of, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to do that. It's like, no, I get to do this. I get to hear the noise and chaos running around my house. I get to pick up the laundry. I get to do this. Just I get to cook these healthy meals. I get to take my kids to and fro all these different activities or with their friends. And instead of an I have to, it becomes an I get to. And now putting this into my business. The real comeback for me is that when I moved from that depression into direction with intention and purpose, my real comeback was that I found my dream again that I've been dreaming ever since I was 8 years old when I first got introduced to public speaking, is that I absolutely love the opportunity to do a speaking engagement and
Mhm.
share this message. Now my mission is to share this message of reactor to creator. And
Mhm.
it's using it as a tool. It's how do you see yourself? And it's a play on that letter C. Do I see myself stuck in the middle of all the things and I'm just reacting, reacting, reacting? Or do I see myself first where I know what matters, what is priority, and then I choose the best response and then I
Mhm.
create that. So such a powerful tool and it's fun. It's always fun to play with those letters like that too.
Yeah, yeah. The first time you showed me that, I was just it was like the explosion emoji,
Yeah,
with the
right?
top of the head coming off. That was really cool. I love that visual. Tell me your three G's again. Greatness,
Yeah, so it starts genius,
genius.
gifts, and greatness.
Yes, I love that. And um I see that in my own life where just in the last 30 years or so, and just how much I've grown as a person. And I had a similar experience where I was doing I'm just the stay-at-home mom. I'm just a housekeeper. I'm just a wife. I'm just here all
Yeah,
day,
right.
helping everybody else. And then I realized that there was an aspect of my life where I was really getting to serve other people and serve in a way that was unique to my gifts and talents, and it was just a slight tweak in how I saw things that helped me realize, oh, this brings me a lot of joy. This is something I can do to help others. And it's not something that everybody else does. And it's because I'm home during the day with my kids that I get to, work on these things so that I can
Yeah.
help others.
Yeah, beautiful thing. And to uh, put a note, back into what you do in the world, Christy. The first when I realized, okay, yes, my chapter as a stay-at-home mom is coming to an end because my daughter's getting ready to graduate, and then I'll be an empty nester.
Mhm.
The first thing I wanted to do was focus on my health. It's like, yes, I have this dream and I want to create this pathway of how do I shift from being a stay-at-home mom into professional speaker. And I said, well, I've kind of let myself go here. I have not been prioritizing my health. It's going to take a lot of energy to do all the things that I want to do. So first and foremost, before I even looked at, oh, where am I going to speak? It was like, where's the energy going to come from? So I dialed in my health first. And the more I dialed in and prioritized that, it was amazing what opportunities started landing in my lap. It was amazing. I was manifesting those speaking opportunities almost faster than I could keep up with. But I was prioritizing my health, looking at my sleep, looking at my diet in the sense of what am I fueling my body with, and
Mhm.
how often am I doing that? And then how am I moving myself so that I maintain control and I can carry my posture in the way that I want to carry it, and then bring that energy forward. And I know if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be as far along as I am today. That prioritizing health is so, so important if you want to be able to keep dreaming. It's like what your wall says there, right? Healthy mind, healthy body. It's you can't have health mind, and healthy body. You can't have one without the other. And
Yeah.
so taking care of that number one priority, then all the other things just really fell into place. So important.
Yeah, it is. And I see this in my practice a lot where I interview a lot of women who are interested in having better health, having goals for themselves, but do they ever take that step to put themselves first? And
Right.
a lot of times, no. More times than yes, it's no. They'll
Yeah.
spend $2,000 on, you know, sports equipment and uniforms so their kid can play a sport, but they won't spend it on themselves so that they can have health and longevity so they can be around longer to see their kids and their grandkids play the sports.
Exactly. Exactly. I hear you. I see that a lot as well. Yeah. So
Yeah,
important.
yeah, it is. So do you have any true experiences with women that you worked with where they have gone from reactor to creator that you could share with us?
Yes, definitely. I love sharing my clients' stories, and one of them is Heather, who she was transitioning from her career as a nurse, and she ended up burning out, and then figuring out what she wanted to do with her life in her next chapter. Then she decided, well, I have a lot of knowledge where I've taken myself from that burnout to where I feel some sense of direction with my life, and I know that I have wisdom and lessons and now tools that I can teach other nurses to help them either prevent burnout in their station, or if they want to transition out of nursing and maybe go into building a business of their own, I can help them, but I don't have the confidence, Lee. I'm just here thinking, like I said, the most often phrases, I'm not good enough and I'm just starting out. So who wants to listen to me? I know there are other women out there doing this. How do I break the noise of the competition? How do I do this? So she was reacting to all of the what if questions that were sitting in her fear of failure.
Mm,
Of course, she didn't want to fail. Nobody does,
mm,
right? And so I was able to take her through my 5-step method, which I'll just highlight it because it's an acronym, and it's the C.A.N.D.Y method. And
mhm,
so it's the process of clarity, affirmation, necessity, discipline, you, and taking her through that. And it was a deep dive into her identity, taking a look at her fears, letting her know it was normal for her to be feeling her fears. I You will not get any shoulds from me. Oh, you should feel this way, not that way. Or, you should do this, not that. It's no, it's getting to the core, the truth of who you really are, which I took her through my C.A.N.D.Y method in doing that. Then we were able to really look at her identity and her self-talk.
mhm,
And then I gave her the reframing phrases, and then she would implement those. And it became a diligent, that's where I really held her feet to the fire. The accountability came through on, what are you saying today? What came up for you that you were able to catch? Because like I said, so many of those thoughts are on replay loop. It's like, oh, we're not even aware. It's like, okay, are you aware? Can you catch that thought, reframe it, and then notice the behavior that happens afterwards, because you'll find it's moving you into action. Our fears hold us back. It shows up as procrastination. It shows up as hesitation and decision making. It shows up as not making things move forward. And so we're not taking that action. And when I was able to shift that self-talk with her through the C.A.N.D.Y method, we got to the why, which is all about celebrating you, really looking at those three G's. Let's look at your genius. Let's look at your gifts. Let's look at your greatness. This is what you have to bring out into the world. And once she started to see that, and then she was implementing those rephrases, she just took off. She started getting clients. She started getting some speaking engagements that she really wanted. I was able to help her with her signature talk and then her dynamic delivery on the stage. And she is just thriving today. This is almost 3 years later. And just to see the things that she's doing out in the world is so amazing. And if I had just given her, well, I wouldn't have been the expertise to do this anyway. If I had just given her business strategy, she might know what to do, but she would have still felt stuck because that core belief wasn't there. So getting to that heart and the truth of who she really is through the C.A.N.D.Y method and seeing those three G's, then the strategy can be fully implemented with a lot less struggle. She ends up thriving instead. So I love that.
That's neat. So on this podcast, we talk a lot about comeback seasons. There's all variety of comeback seasons because everybody's in a different place, a different situation. How does self-talk influence a woman's ability to rebuild after something difficult?
Ah, ah, I love that. I love that. Because one of the first things and one of the last things we do in the day is look at ourselves in the mirror.
Mm.
But do we really see ourselves? Or do we see this reflection of someone that has imperfections instead of the full-on potential?
Mhm.
It seems to me, my belief around life is like our potential never wanes. It is always there, waiting
Mhm.
for us to take that next step to experience that. And so for someone who's watching and listening, and you can identify with the woman that I was on the beach that day, just completely lost in identity, didn't know who I was anymore. And then when I got home from that vacation, fully recognizing, gosh, I've been in a state of depression for longer than 2 years at that point. And what do I do now? Life feels so overwhelming. And I invite you to take the opportunity and go look at yourself in the mirror, not for the vanity's sake at all. Please don't look at your hair, don't look at the fine lines, don't look at if there's dry skin or super oily skin or blemishes. None of that is allowed. You don't have permission to do that. You only have permission to see yourself as that beautiful human being that you are. Can you see yourself eye to eye, like you would make eye contact with your best friend? And being able to look at yourself that way. My heart breaks for the women when I initially worked with them and they weren't able to even look at themselves. That was the first step we had to break through. But then when you get to the point where you can look at yourself, can you identify yourself by name as if you're looking at another person?
Mm.
And then can you say, I love you? It might feel awkward at first, but loving yourself in such a way, beginning with that. And that may take some work and that may take some effort, especially if you're coming out of a heavy state of depression or just being down a lot, feeling beat down by life, feeling so out of touch with being present. And you're like, how do I even come back to life again? Start truly with yourself, seeing yourself with the eye contact, seeing yourself and addressing yourself by name, saying I love you to yourself, and doing that every day, every morning, every night. And then anytime that you're passing through the bathroom and you see yourself in the mirror, you don't have to say it, but just give yourself a high five. Just
Yeah.
give yourself a high five when you're walking by. But every morning and every night, take a moment to give yourself that eye contact. Say those three words. Feel how it feels. If it's awkward at first, going, huh, yeah, that feels a little awkward. Just acknowledge it. We don't have to
Mhm.
make a big deal out of it. Yeah, it feels a little awkward, but get to where you can feel that love. Like if I say, Christy, I love you.
I
It's a
love
genuine, it's a genuine, sincere feeling, right? And you
Yeah.
do that with yourself in the mirror. It needs to be like that. And when you do that, you will start to notice amazing things happen. You'll start to notice, gosh, I'm starting to feel gratitude.
Mm.
I'm noticing the blessings in my life. You'll notice a dynamic changing in your relationships, first of all with yourself, but then with other people around you. And then as you continue to do that, pouring that self-love in, you'll see other results change too. And life won't be perfect, life won't necessarily be easy, but it will get easier
Mm.
in the way that you show up. And when you notice, especially the question of like, oh, am I a reactor or am I a creator? You'll really notice the change in results there too. And I have so much more that unfortunately we just don't have all the time in the
Yeah.
world on the podcast today.
Yes. So tell our listeners where they can find you to learn more.
Yes. Oh, thank you for this opportunity again, Christy. I love all things self-talk. And if I can help you reframe, simple phrases from like, I'm stressed and overwhelmed into, my body is resetting into a way that it's prepared for excitement. If you got a project coming up and you're like, oh, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous. It's the same exact body visceral responses as I'm excited. So simply changing I'm nervous to I'm excited. And one of my favorites is I'll try. I'm like, oh, there is no try. It's like Yoda says, right? There is no try. There's only do or do not. Instead of saying I'll try, say I'll commit. And I love all these things about self-talk and rewriting your self-talk. I bought the domain. So it's rewriteyourselftalk.com. And when you go there, I'm simply going to ask for your name and your email so that I can send you a free gift and I know who I'm sending it to. That free gift is a 5-minute reset. It'll go over again just the little overview steps of my C.A.N.D.Y method so you understand what that's about. And then you get a one pager, and I call it the Don't Say That, Say This worksheet. And it has about 20 phrases that we typically say to ourselves in that inner critic mode. And that's the don't say that. And then on the right hand side, it says say this. So I give you the positive reframes because maybe you're like, well, Leah, yeah, I can catch those thoughts, but what am I supposed to say now? Well, have that one sheet, print that out. You can have it at your desk. So when it comes up, you look, oh, right, that's what I'm saying. You can save it as a wallpaper on your phone because that's the one thing we seem to have with us at all times, right? Is our phone. Save it as a wallpaper and then you can look at it, or you can tape it to your bathroom mirror. So again, it's easy to look at like, oh, that's right. What am I changing that to? And then the more you make that into a habit, you're changing that neuroplasticity. You are rewiring that negative loop into that empowering loop for yourself. And continue to use that. So it takes only 5 minutes a day. You are worth more than those 5 minutes, but at least those 5 minutes to give yourself that reframe. And if you want to know more, I would love to have that conversation with you. And that's where it begins. You go to rewriteyourselftalk.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today, Lee.
Thank you, Christy.
Today's conversation with Lee Smith reminded us that the voice in our head is not always telling us the truth. We can learn to pause, notice the story we're telling ourselves, and choose a more grounded and empowering way forward. We talked about the difference between reacting and creating, how the inner critic can keep women stuck, and why authentic self-talk is such an important part of rebuilding confidence and trust in ourselves. If this episode resonated with you, take a few minutes this week to notice the words you're speaking to yourself, not with judgment, but with curiosity. That simple awareness may be the beginning of a powerful shift for you. Thank you for joining us on the Comeback Season podcast. We're so grateful that you're here, and we hope this conversation reminds you that your comeback is still unfolding.
Thank you for joining us on the Comeback Season. Please remember, the conversations we share here are for informational and motivational purposes only. We are not licensed medical professionals, and this podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, or replace guidance from your doctor or your healthcare provider. Always consult your healthcare team before making changes to your nutrition, your fitness, or your mental health routines. Your health and well-being comes first, and we want you to move forward safely with the right support for your journey.